All right, welcome to the training, everybody. My name is Trevor, and we are sharing a little more about affiliate marketing tonight, and informational sites and some of the stuff you guys have been learning about up to this point. I'm sitting on Reddit right now, and I was telling you guys a minute ago. During the week, I often spend some time in places like Reddit and other places online, just looking to learn a little bit more about internet marketing and marketing strategies that are working out there and what's not working. And there's good communities out there where you can learn a lot. And so I spent some time learning, and I found something really cool this week that I want to share with you guys. Before we do, though, this is going to relate very directly to this question right here. Now, I know this is a little small, so I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. How do I get traffic to my affiliate website is a question that's come up a lot. Up to this point, over the past several months, we've taught you guys how to choose a niche, how to get a domain name, how to set up a website, how to generate content, how to get ads on your site, including Adsense and then other ad networks, so that we can monetize and make money from an affiliate standpoint. A lot of you guys have done that and have gone along that journey with me. But the lingering question that I continue to get is, okay, well, I've done all these things. When do I start making money? But that's the wrong question to ask. The question to ask is not when am I going to start making money? It's when am I going to get traffic? Because traffic is what leads you to ad revenue, right? The reason why people pay millions of dollars for a 30-minute ad on the Super Bowl is because there's millions of watchers, right? It's the same concept here on your website. You need lots of traffic to make any money off of your advertising. So the question shouldn't be, when do I make money? The question should be, when and how do I go about getting traffic to the site? And I want to share one thing that I've learned over the years and that I had reconfirmed in something I found online, okay? Let me show this to you guys real quick. This is, I actually subscribe. Actually, let me go back to Reddit's homepage real quick. I subscribe to a subreddit called Entrepreneurship. And if you guys want to subscribe to it, I highly recommend it. Fantastic place just to read about other people's experiences that are doing their own thing, being their own boss, things that people have learned. It's a tremendous resource for entrepreneurs that are sort of supporting each other. So if you want to be a part of that subreddit, come over here and just do a search for the word entrepreneur on Reddit. And you can find the subreddit right here. Actually, you know what? I think it's entrepreneurship. See if I can find it here. No, it might just be this one. Let me click on it. No, sorry, that's not the right one. Let me find it. Here it is. There you go. It's this one right here. I guess you just have to spell it the way they want you to spell it. ENTREPRENEUR. Okay, entrepreneur. It's /r/entrepreneur. So you'll see it here. Once you get into it, it's a huge community. There's 181,000 subscribers to this subreddit. So it's a huge subreddit. Lots of interest here, lots of commenting, lots of really cool stuff to read. I'd highly recommend it. So I spend time here each week reading and learning and chatting and so on and so forth, stuff that you do in a subreddit. And I came across this right here. Now, this was done 5 months ago, and this was done by somebody by the name of PBSPRY. That's their username. They're on Reddit. And the title, I don't know how well you guys can see this, so let me zoom in just a little bit. There we go. Can you guys read that title there? Let me grab my pen. There you go, right here. I make $30,000 a month via AdSense and similar networks. AMA just stands for Ask Me Anything. So this person hopped onto Reddit in the entrepreneur section and basically is sharing their story with us about how they're making money online. I'm going to send this link out to all of you guys first of all. Let me grab my pointer here. Here's the direct link. You guys should all see this come up in your chat section. If you want to make a note of that link right there, did you guys all get that, by the way? That'll take you directly to this specific article. Yeah, you all got it? Okay. When I saw this, I mean, obviously you see something like I make 30 grand a month via AdSense and you know, because of what we're all trying to do here, that's automatically going to catch your eye. Let me read through some of this with you guys. And this person basically offers his advice and his experience in trying to make money online using AdSense, and you'll find that there are countless parallels between what this person is doing and what you guys are trying to do. I've been teaching you guys this strategy the entire time. This person right here is an example of somebody who's been executing it on a really big level. I mean, do the math on that, right? This person's making 30 grand a month in AdSense. They're making pretty darn good money on their online business. Okay. So I want you to learn from this a little bit. The answer to the question here is going to be found largely in this subreddit, okay, or in this thread within this subreddit, which is to say, how do you get traffic, or how do I get traffic to my affiliate website? He answers that in abundance. Okay, you guys good with that? You guys all got the link? I'll put it in the comments too. Here, I'll send it out one more time. There you go. Yes, everybody? Okay. Sounds like most of you guys got it. All right. So let me just read through his post here at the start, and then I want to read through some of the things that are being said below. Okay. So he says, have been asked to do an AMA, which is an Ask Me Anything, a couple of times about this. So here it goes. Should say from the start that I'm doing this anonymously and won't give away specifics about my company. If that means this is a no-go because I can't provide specific proof, I totally understand, and feel free to delete this post. That obviously didn't happen. And by the way, he answers the reason why he keeps it anonymous, and I would have done the same thing. He's not going to share his specific websites with the world here. And you'll notice a lot of the coaches in our program, me included, don't necessarily give you guys links to every project that we're doing. Because you know what happens when we do that? Everybody tries to copy the same thing. So although I don't mind giving you some information about some of the things I do, that's the reason why. He later answers that. And there's other reasons too, but you'll see that it's legitimate. Anytime somebody says anonymously that they're making 30 grand a month, automatically you should be a little skeptical. But it's very clear after looking into this. This is pretty darn legit. Okay, so he says, but I'm happy to answer general questions about web development, monetization, traffic generation, content, etc., that might prove useful to others who are on similar paths. That would be all of you guys. So about me, he says I'm married, late 30s. He's a web developer by trade. Don't let that discourage you. It certainly has probably helped him in his work to be a web developer, but it's very clear that that's not necessary to make the kind of money he's making. He says, I own and operate a network of about 24 websites and run tasteful ads on them. Nothing spammy, no pop-ups, etc. Via AdSense and a handful of similar ad networks and exchanges. What kind of ad networks is he talking about, guys? Well, you'll learn in this below some of the main ones that we've talked about. When he says ad networks, what's he talking about? Affiliate ad networks. Yeah, the different ad brokerages, right? CJ, LinkShare, Share a Sale, so on and so forth, ClickBank, whatever. There's dozens beyond that, and he mentioned some that I don't even use. But you'll learn that most of his revenue does come through AdSense. Um, if you're curious about what they are, the sites themselves cover a range of topics: food, travel, entertainment. He says basically I'm OCD, and whenever I pick up a new enthusiasm for something, I research it, and I'll edit that for the sake of the webinar here. I research it to death, and then often develop an exhaustive informational website on the subject. Guys, that right there is the strategy I've been telling you to adopt the entire time, right? Let me just highlight this. Whenever I pick up a new enthusiasm for something, I research it to death and then develop an exhaustive informational website on the subject. I've told you guys all along that before you ever jump into trying to do an informational site, right? That don't pick your niche based off of what you think is going to make you money. That's not the right approach here. Okay. The right approach is picking something that you have some enthusiasm for and that you're passionate about, and then you go out there and you learn as much as you can about that industry, and that's exactly what this guy's done. Okay, so let's continue down. I don't do blogs or websites that require constant updates and maintenance. Rather, I build sites that can either stand on their own for years at a time with minimal necessary changes, or sites that incorporate user-generated content like forums or comment threads in order to stay fresh and relevant. In some cases, I outsource content writing and programming jobs, but not very often. So for the most part, it's just me. On the whole, so I should probably stop there for just a second. That's another thing. A lot of you guys are worried about like writing content and being responsible for that. This guy does all of that himself. He says, in some cases, I outsource content writing and programming jobs, meaning he outsources people to write for him or occasionally do some of the design, but not very often. So for the most part, it's just me. I think that's pretty valuable. I've been the same way. I've never really outsourced a lot of my content generation. I've written a lot of it myself, and that's not me being some English major great writer. Not at all. I'm definitely a numbers person, and I've managed somehow to still do this and do it well. On the whole, I can manage the entire network with as little as 5 to 10 hours of work a month if I just let things go on autopilot, which is great because my wife and I love to travel. We're currently on month 5 of an 8-month trip, hopping from Airbnb to Airbnb every 4 weeks or so. Okay, so when you're making 30 grand a month, you can travel like this guy's traveling, right? Okay. Scroll down a little bit. We're just about finished with his commentary here. Average earnings over the last 24 months have been 25 to 30 grand per month. About 80 to 90% of that is ad revenue. Okay, so between AdSense and his affiliate networks, he's claiming that 80 to 90% of what generates money on his sites is coming from ads. I think he means earning. I've been earning ad revenue online since 1996, but like most people, it never more than $200 to $300 a month until around 2007. That's when things finally started to click into high gear. By 2008, I was earning more from my websites than my 9-to-5 salary. Finally grew the balls to quit my job in 2010, the hardest and best decision of my life, and have been doing this full time ever since. He goes on to say, happy to answer questions, blah, blah, blah. So this guy, I guess the first question you have to ask yourself is why is this guy here actually even sharing this, right? Is he just blowing smoke? No. Do you notice any advertisements at all on this? Like, is he putting a website link in his content right here? No, I don't see that. And I actually researched his profile. I went back and looked at some of the things he's posted, and he's definitely legit. This guy, I have no doubt in my mind, this guy's making what he says he's making on his website network. So essentially, his strategy is he creates a bunch of informational sites like we've been showing you guys how to do. And later we'll probably read more about it here in just a minute, but he's done in the neighborhood, he said, of like 23, 24 sites over the course of that time. Now you guys are thinking, how in the world did he have time for that? Well, he didn't start that way. He makes it pretty clear. He was working a normal 9 to 5 like a lot of you guys. Once he started to make enough money, then he did this full time, and then he just created sites with information on them. But he claims that 6 or 7 of his sites out of the 24 he's created, so 25% of those are what generate the majority of his revenue, which is why I believe he can easily sort of manage those and make the money over time. It reminds me of one of my sites. I've told you guys I have a financial site that I've done this with. This is the one I always share with my clients. And I haven't written content on this site since 2012. So that's, 4 years ago? I haven't written any content. I rarely update it. I simply put AdSense on it, have a ton of articles in it, and it gets a really good amount of traffic. And one of the points he makes is we'll read through this, is sometimes a niche that's a little more timeless, not so trendy, for example. So, information that's going to be true today, that's also going to be true 15 years from now, is going to be a good niche, because that information that you write could stay relevant and get high rankings, for many, many years. And that's the point. So let me scroll down and just show you a few things. I'm going to leave you guys with an assignment to go and actually read this thread in detail, because I think it's going to inspire you a little bit, because this is a real story of a real person who's doing a lot of what you guys are trying to do. And he's done it on a much bigger level. I don't anticipate that any of you guys in the next year will be making 30 grand a month on these sites. I don't think so. You could, but it's doubtful. It takes time to develop affiliate sites. But the answer to the question I want us to find today is this right here. How do I get traffic to my affiliate website? And I feel like he answers that really well as we read through some of this. Okay, this is really long. I'm only going to read through a few things with you guys, but I'll leave you with the assignment to go through it in more detail. Okay. All right. Let me come down to some comments that are good. So basically, people are coming in after seeing that, and they're asking him questions, and he's on here actively just responding and leaving answers. Okay. Okay, let's see. All right, this person asks, I think this is a good question. Without giving away your secret sauce, could you give a breakdown of your workflow from nothing to finished product? Then what do you do to get traffic? Okay? I want you to watch the parallels here as we read through some of this. Number 1, come up with a list of new ideas I'm interested in. Number 2, research existing competitive landscape for those keywords or niches. That's something I don't think is as important, but he does a little bit of research. In fact, later on, he'll say that 90% of his niche choice is what he's passionate about, and then 10% is he'll go out there and just kind of look around at other websites and see how competitive it is. Once I've decided on the new project, I do a basic wireframe of the site, pencil and paper, showing major pages and sections. Depending on the structure of the wireframe, I decide to either build from scratch, usually. So he does a lot of his own site building just from scratch because he's a web developer, but notice his other suggestion, or use an existing framework like WordPress. Okay, that's been our suggestion to you guys all along. Use WordPress because it's easy to use. Research domains and get one. Either design the site myself or buy an existing design from a site like Theme Forest. I don't recommend that for you guys on your first site because that costs a little extra money. There's different WordPress themes that you can buy that cost extra money. It might be worth investing in later, but not when you first start your site, especially if you guys are trying to do this on a budget. Build the structure of your site. Number 8, write content or outsource to my content writer. She's awesome. So he talks a lot about this content writer that he found for cheap that's really good. So like later, if you can imagine, if you're running 6 or 7 sites like this, it's going to be hard for you to produce content for everything, and so that's when he outsources and has a writer that does some writing for him, which is cool. This can be a couple of weeks or months depending on the subject matter. Launch the site, and then number 10, pay obsessive attention to user feedback. Blah blah blah. So you'll notice that the strategy is very much the same as we've been teaching you. Maybe slightly more advanced for him because he's from a web development background, but it's very much the same. Choose a niche, make sure you're passionate about it, get it set up on WordPress, develop content, add ads to the site, and then make money on it, right? I want to read you this paragraph real quick. He says, I do nothing specific for traffic apart from linking new projects from some of our existing sites and setting up Google Sitemaps in Google Webmaster Tools, which I've taught you guys how to do. I follow basic best practices for SEO, but I'm not obsessive over it. And I don't ask other sites for backlinks anymore, though I really should. It's still important. I've taught you guys the value of getting links from other sites, right? We have talked about that a little bit in the past. That still has a lot of value. But what's interesting is this guy, and you'll learn this as we go through this, he does not do marketing the way we teach you guys how to do marketing. He just writes really good content. And because his content is so good and he does a lot of it, he naturally finds himself ranking high in the search engines and he gets a ton of traffic. So if there's one thing you guys take away from our discussion today, if you're asking yourselves this question, how do I get traffic to my affiliate website? The answer is you write really good content and the content does the work for you. This idea that you create a site, write some content, and then you go off and you start doing marketing, although it's possible and there's things you can do, it's the wrong approach. Really, your approach is I write content, 10 or 15 articles, I get Adsense on there, I get some ad networks on there, and then I go back to content writing and I write a whole bunch more. And I can speak to that on my own site. I've told you on the financial site, if you guys can remember, I have somewhere in the neighborhood of about 200 articles on that site. Now, that wasn't, I mean, that took me months to end up getting 200 articles. But if you can imagine having 200 articles on a site covering all sorts of different subjects that have some decent SEO done on them, when somebody goes to Google and does a search, I have 200 chances of getting found if someone does a search for something related to my articles. Therefore, I have all sorts of different pathways into this website. And that's what this guy has done. He's got lots of sites that have lots of articles that therefore get lots of traffic as a result, okay? That's the important thing to understand. Yes, there's other things we can do for marketing, and you guys have been learning about some of them with Reddit and StumbleUpon and link building and blog commenting and directories and all the things that we've been talking to you guys about over the course of many months. But the secret sauce, at least for this guy, is just writing really good content, okay? Here's him commenting on that. He says, I don't do a lot when it comes to traffic generation. This is where I'm reading right here. I found way more success spending my time building awesome content than I have had trying to find ways to game the SEO process. It doesn't always work, of course, but in general, I've had decent success with Google completely organically. Sorry, I know that's an unsatisfying answer. I'm sure there are great tricks to traffic generation that people use, but I've never been able to master them, so SEO isn't something I spend a whole lot of time on. So in other words, he's not a master SEO. Okay, you guys may know as much about SEO as he does, but his trick in creating great content lies in the fact, and he says it later on. I don't know if we'll find it, because if I scroll down on this, you see as I'm scrolling down, there's a crazy amount of comments, right? Like I could scroll for a while, and you could continue to read. He basically talks about how, because he's so enthusiastic and interested in whatever his niche is, money aside, he loves to learn about it and research this new stuff, and then whatever his latest interest is, or hobby or passion, he throws together a blog and creates content on it. And over time, that's ended up generating, what he now deems his internet business. Let's see if there's anything else here I wanted to pick out. There were a lot of little gems here that I thought you guys could really benefit from. Let's see. This question right here from somebody says, I'm assuming this is all SEO based. I have a couple of questions. How do you research a niche? And having a network, how did you not get hit with all the Google updates over the years? You guys have probably heard that every so often Google will update their algorithm, which means that they're going to update the way sites get ranked. And people who do SEO over the years have always tried to, like this guy says, quote unquote, game the system, meaning they try to come up with all these little tricks where they can weasel their way up to the top of Google. And some of those tricks work for a while and then stop working. The stuff we teach you guys is sort of, long-lasting SEO strategy that's never really going to change. So you can feel good about that. But he says here that most of his traffic, 75% or more, actually comes from search engines. And he doesn't necessarily do anything special. He just writes that good content. Now, what he did say later on, and I can't find it here, I should have bookmarked it somehow, but he said that most of his new sites that he creates go through this period of, we used to call it in this industry, in the marketing industry, we used to call it the Google sandbox, where basically, like, you create this great new site, and Google, because it's so new and the domain is brand new, basically won't really rank you very well. And I don't know if some of you guys have experienced that. Maybe some of you guys with your affiliate sites have experienced the fact that right when you launch it, even with some pretty good content, sometimes it doesn't get found. Can any of you guys relate to that at all? I know at least a couple of my clients can, because you've wondered how to go about getting traffic. Anyway, he mentions the same thing. Like, even though his content's really good, Google doesn't necessarily rank him over the first, sometimes 4, 5, 6 weeks at all. But he continues to build content, and then later Google picks him up, and then he ends up doing really well. He also comments on the fact that AdSense is like the prime money generator, and that's like, you got to have AdSense. You really do. Sprinkled in and peppered in are some of these affiliate offers that he does as well. So that's exactly what we've suggested to you guys as well. AdSense should be your bread and butter, but it will do us no good unless we're getting traffic. And according to this guy's strategy, and it's been the same for me over the years, that traffic is mostly generated through you creating something that's actually valuable on the internet. If you're regurgitating crap content, you can tell you're not doing it out of a lot of passion, that's going to show, and I think it's going to hurt your rankings, and you won't get as much traffic. It's got to be something you're passionate about. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to do any more here, guys. This is plenty. I really want you to go through and kind of read this for yourself. Take 45 minutes and read everything here. and you're going to find that what you're learning, this is an independent resource, somebody that's independent of our program who's doing exactly what we've been teaching and is just doing it on a really big level. And if you could even do it on 10% of what this guy's doing, and have just, maybe one or two sites where you're generating $2,000, 2,500, $3,000 a month, that's enough money to actually make a difference to you financially, to the point where maybe you could do what he does and cut back on work and then end up doing something like that full time. I know this isn't for everybody because not everybody loves writing and content generation, but it's a powerful strategy. And I think I've told a lot of you guys, in the grand scheme of what I've done online, marketing wise and making money financially, my affiliate marketing strategies have made me a good portion of what I've made online. And so I endorse what happens here. The reason why we don't teach it till later is it's kind of time consuming to learn how to do this. To create a niche and website and write a bunch of content, it does take time. But most of you guys are in this for the long haul, and so this ends up being a pretty darn good strategy. Okay. All right. So any questions before I turn this off? I'll make sure that we post this online, and the link will be maybe in the notes there underneath the video, so you guys can get it there. But I'd really encourage you to take the time to read this, because I think all of you will be able to relate really well. Okay? I'll leave it open for just a second for questions, and then we will reconvene for next week, or adjourn for next week, and then reconvene on Thursday night. Yeah, Linda, I sure can. I'll send that over to you. I'll do that right now before I forget. Yeah, I just sent it. Yeah, the difference, Oliver, the difference between Volusion and WordPress in this instance is WordPress is specifically designed for more informational sites, whereas Volusion is specifically designed for product-based sites. He talks about how he actually doesn't sell any physical products off of any of these sites because they're solely informational. He uses WordPress for a lot of his stuff. Yeah, it's hard to say, Horace. On average, how long does it take to generate a good amount of traffic? He comments on that a little bit, and I'll comment on the same. My blog took several months of work before I generated enough traffic to actually see a decent amount of money come in. He says the same thing. He said he's had a couple of blogs that didn't rank well for 4, 5, 6 months. So that could happen possibly. But here's the thing. He also doesn't profess to be a very good internet marketer. He's just a great content creator is what he is. If he coupled that with some better internet marketing and some of the stuff that you guys have been learning, I think traffic would have been generated much earlier. So I don't know. In my experience, it takes a good solid month and a half, sometimes longer to see some serious traffic. But everybody's situation is going to vary just a little bit. Okay, great. Well, again, guys, if you want access to this page that I'm looking at right now, it'll be in the notes section in the video once I upload it onto YouTube, and then you can click on it and review it there. Okay? All right. Hope this helped everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week. We will see you guys next time, same place.